Is Vince Russo full of crap, or does he make a valid point in his most recent interview? Welcome back, everyone. This is Jason. I want to start out this video by hoping that none of you destroy your computers while watching this video. This video is not meant to piss anyone off. I realize how controversial a character Vince Russo is when it comes to the world of wrestling. Okay, this is not meant to upset anyone. I'm just trying to throw out a discussion on something he recently brought up in a very interesting, thought-provoking interview. Now, it seems like nowadays, especially with Vince Russo being in the news a lot in regards to whether it be TNA or his website, seems like everybody and their uncle and their uncle's dog has an opinion on Vince Russo. And one thing I'm trying to understand and educate myself in this topic is why. I realize that he's done some positive things in the world of wrestling and he's done some negative things in the world of wrestling. What I'm trying to figure out, all in all, is why people hate him so much. That being said, a recent interview that Vince Russo did with Damian Nelson of the PWR Show, their interviews on YouTube, all you got to do is go to the PWR Show YouTube channel and look it up. It's one of the last thing on there. I feel, because I've never seen any of the shoot interviews that Vince Russo has done. It seems like whenever he's been in the news before, it's when he's been with a company or he had to keep his mouth shut about certain things because he was with someone or working for someone. Obviously, other than himself. But I think that's why some people get upset with him, because maybe he is a selfish person and he is only in business for himself. Well, now it seems like, because he's obviously not working for the WWE, he's not working for TNA. Now it seems like he has a freedom. He has, obviously, he has some kind of following. People love him or hate him, are interested in what he says. And so that could be a very positive thing for him, that people are curious about his opinion. Another reason why I'm doing this. It's not meant to get people upset at me. I'm just trying to evoke a discussion on this subject, okay? So, in this recent interview, Damian Nelson asks him about his opinion on the current product of WWE, okay? Now, I know most people are going to look at this and say, well, he's full of crap and it doesn't matter. What Vince Russo brings up in this interview is interesting. And apparently it's confirmed. I have not read the interview or heard or listened to the interview. I think it's something in an interview recently that he did with Jim Ross, possibly, or in an interview involving both of them, something to that effect. And it was confirmed that the WWE has between 20 to 30 writers writing for weekly shows. That is an amazing number of writers to have on staff. And he goes on, Vince Russo goes on to talk about how he and Ed Ferreira used to, write their shows back in the Attitude Era and such, or for whoever they were writing for at the time, whether it was WWE or WCW. A very exciting yet very controversial time. Now, obviously, it's very different. And every once in a while, you hear snippets about, so-and-so writers from WWE got canned and they hired this person or that person. And, people get upset about it for 2 seconds. And then it seems like the subject goes away for a while. I've heard things like, they hired so-and-so who used to work on soap operas, which gets people upset for about 5 minutes, and then they move on to the next subject of what they're reading or whatever. It just seems like the topic goes away, and doesn't come back to. Well, now this thing came up, and I'm going to tie it in with something else, which makes it even more interesting. With the recent show of NXT Takeover, I've heard several people say online, whether it was Facebook or things on comments on YouTube or ringsidenews.com, people saying something to the effect of, wow, NXT Takeover and the NXT product is done really well, and it's done even better than Raw / and or SmackDown. Vince Russo brought up a fact, like I just said, that, the stuff that's on television has, dozens of writers. So why is NXT seem so much better? It's because Triple H is writing it with just a couple of writers down in Florida. And that makes a lot of sense. When you think about you get, a certain number of people in a room bouncing ideas off each other in a room. Think about it. Whatever size the room is, it doesn't matter. You get X amount of people in a room. Obviously, A, it's going to become uncomfortable. B, it's going to become chaotic. And C, you're not going to want to deal with it. Vince brings up, like I said before, that, it was just him and Ed Ferreira sitting in a room watching Jerry Springer writing for, I can't remember if he said he was working for WCW or WWF at the time, whichever one it was just him and one other guy bouncing ideas off each other, and they wrote, the week's writings, and then they would turn it in. And you would get tweaked or whatever, and then it was done. If you have so many people writing for a show, people, I think the last few weeks shows have been okay. I don't think they were horrible. I mean, everybody has different opinions, okay? But majority of the opinions I've heard on the weekly TV shows lately is that they're absolute garbage. And yeah, they do seem unorganized. They don't flow. And another thing that was brought up which I was just listening to the podcast. Solomonster does a weekly podcast. Very fun guy to listen to. I highly recommend it. He brought up another valid point, talking about things that are wrong with the WWE product. And this by no means is a rant that WWE sucks, okay? I genuinely love the WWE product, but there are a certain number of things that are wrong with it. And I'm not going to nitpick it to death. This is just something he pointed out that I want to touch on. The fact that when you're watching a main event and it's something really good, say it's, Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose, something really exciting like that. And it's the middle of the match and you're on the edge of your seat rooting for whoever, it's drawed you in, you're on it, you're excited about it. And what do? They cut to commercial. And I was just talking to my wife about this, how upsetting that is, that so many times they'll have a great product on the television. Oh, we'll be right back. What the hell are you doing? This is your main event. Why are you cutting to, this is a great toilet paper to wipe my ass with? What are you thinking, WWE? This is a very valid point that, maybe if enough people say something about it, they'll do something about it. You've got it. It's just another example of a few of the things that are really wrong with the WWE right now, and it could be so much better. If you look at how good this last Takeover show was, how the whole thing, top to bottom, flowed, the matches, the backstage segments, the interviews, everything, it just worked. It really worked, whether the matches were like the best on the show or not. Either way, the show flowed totally. And that's just all the NXT shows are really well done, and that's an hour a week. Why the hell can't the WWE do that with the rest of their product? You got a room full of writers, or however they sit around and do it. If they do meetings or whatever, at the location where they're at, I don't know. But however they do it, if you got that many people writing for a show, how the hell does anything ever get done? And now, like today, I just read an article and it said, it was a real short article, but it drives this point forward even more. It said that today's script for tonight's Monday Night Raw has not been written yet. You got 24 plus or minus a few writers. Why? And I read someone's opinion saying, then, and this is obviously sarcasm, saying, well, then we're obviously going to get the best show possible. This is the go home Raw before your next pay-per-view. And, it should be a loaded show. It should sell it should sell Night of Champions. And if you don't have stuff written, or you're trying to compete with how many other writers to get your point across to put a good product on television, there's your problem. There is your problem, it goes back to the KISS factor. Keep it simple, stupid, There's no reason, why why you've got to have a product that's on TV the way it is. And, I think, whether, like I said, whether you love Russo or hate him, I think he makes a valid point, a very valid opinion. And it's just meant to evoke that discussion of, it's just meant to throw it out there, He made a point. I wanted to talk about it. And another thing I want to do with this video is to start a discussion amongst my viewers and to see, like, okay, like I said, whether you love him or hate him, tell me what, because I'm trying to educate myself at the same time. Okay, that's another point of this. Don't just say, oh, well, he's an asshole. Oh, he's a liar. Oh, well, he's a dipshit. I don't want to hear that. That's nothing valid. That everyone and their uncle has that opinion of him. Tell me why. What has he done? Give me specific reasons, because I want to know. I'm not meant to start an argument like, well, I don't mean to do that on here. Okay, it's just meant to be a positive discussion of this topic. I think Vince Russo makes some valid points. I think he's going to be making his voice known a lot more in the near future, because he's got this, I can't think of what the heck it's called. It's got a weird name. His website that he, vlogs on or blogs on or whatever. And he talks about a bunch of different things, not just wrestling. He does, I think I heard he does reviews of, the current product of WWE, and I don't know if he nitpicks it. I don't know. I'll have to check it out. But something else, and I know this is straying from wrestling, but something else, excuse me, that he brought up recently, off the subject of wrestling, is he was talking about the band Kiss and how they should hang it up. That I did read on his website, and yeah, I believe they should hang it up. Do I love the music? Yeah, I love the music. I grew up listening to it. I prefer the older stuff than to newer stuff. The newer stuff, I don't know, it doesn't click with me. And he brings up a valid point, saying they should hang it up, because it's embarrassing. If you've seen them on TV recently, they sound god awful. Paul Stanley comes out sounding like he's got laryngitis. Well, whether it was a temporary thing or not, or whether that's what he sounds like on a regular basis now, yeah, then you should call it quits. And I may do a discussion topic on that another time, but I just wanted to bring up that little factor of what he talks about. So, in closing with this video, if you know something specific about him, something he's done, positive or negative, or your opinion on Vince Russo, on something he's done, whether it be WCW or WWE, talk to me. Let me know, or give me a link to something, because I want to know. But I, as a wrestling fan, wanted to bring this out and show you guys that, as hated as he is, he brings up a valid point. All right. So put it in the comments or message me privately or let me know. And maybe I'll do a follow-up video depending on what kind of response I get. All right. Thanks for watching, guys.